put the belt on the line all the time, fight anyone and just kick arse, because that's what the Irish do. Hello there, and welcome to my bedroom. I'm Lewis Glennon, and this is how WWE should book, where I take an angle now, book it for the future, and challenge WWE to do it better, because there's a fucking pandemic going on, and I've got nothing better to do than try and entertain Dom Hynes. Wait for it. Ooh. In today's episode, how WWE should book the up-and-coming Intercontinental Title tournament. As you might have seen, Sami Zayn's recently been stripped of his title for not defending it, Brock Lesnar his last 5 title reigns say hi, and WWE announced that they'll use a tournament to crown a new champion. Now this is being filmed on the 13th of May, so the brackets haven't been announced yet, so I'm going to do it from scratch. WWE, do it better. So to begin with, I'd have this as a 16-man tournament, and I'd expand from all the SmackDowns up till Backlash, which is set to take place on the 14th of June. I'd then have the 2 semi-finals take place on the pre-show, because you know, try and add meaning and tell a story on the pre-show rather than just giving us a meaningless R-Truth v Dana Brooke match which no one cares about. And then have the final on the main card. The 16 men involved will be Baron Corbin, Elias, Otis, The Miz, R-Truth, Dolph Ziggler, John Morrison, Chad Gable, Cesaro, Drew Gulak, Daniel Bryan, Shinsuke Nakamura, Sheamus, Mojo Rawley, Jeff Hardy, and then taking advantage of them sort of bringing the wild card back from Raw, Austin Theory, because I feel that he needs just some exposure away from his little Mexican group before he inevitably goes back to NXT. Match setup: Jeff Hardy will face Theory, Sheamus will face Mojo Rawley, Corbin and Elias will have that WrestleMania Classic rematch, Otis and Ziggler will go to war once again, Miz and R-Truth, you know, Awesome Truth, they'll have a match, John Morrison will face Shorty G in what should be a fun little match, Daniel Bryan will face Shinsuke Nakamura in a match which doesn't really get the heart pumping. It would have in 2015, and if you deny that, you're just trying to prove that you're a hardcore wrestling fan. Hashtag fuck the indies. And finally, Cesaro and Drew Gulak, which should be a fun little match. So just to quickly run through how those results will go. Baron Corbin will get his win back against Elias. Sheamus will absolutely dismantle Mojo Rawley and bro kick his head off, something I look very much forward to. The Miz will beat R-Truth. John Morrison will see how Shorty G in a really fun match. Cesaro will beat Drew Gulak in a technically sound match. Daniel Bryan will see how Shinsuke Nakamura. Otis will go 3-0 against Show Off. And finally, Jeff Hardy will beat Austin Theory, but hopefully Theory puts in a really good showing because he is such a talent, and at the moment he's struggling, but I think that's just because he's been thrust into a main roster like an American teenager got thrust into Vietnam. What more do you expect? So on to the quarterfinals, and Hardy will see off Bastard Corbin. Sheamus will just about edge past Otis to reach semi-final. John Morrison will beat his tag partner The Miz just to plant a few seeds there which have already been talked about, with Miz, you know, recently taking pins for the team. So it'll plant seeds of doubt there with Morrison proving that he's better than the earliest going on. And then in the shock of the tournament, in the main event of SmackDown, Cesaro and Daniel Bryan will put on a classic a crowd deserves to win, and Cesaro will go over clean to advance to the semi-final. Semi-finals set up Jeff Hardy versus Sheamus because WWE already built into that little feud, and Cesaro v John Morrison. Cesaro will win the battle athleticism against Morrison to go through to a final, and Sheamus will use a low blow and a bro kick to see off Hardy to again advance to a final. So there it's set for Backlash for vacant title, Cesaro versus Sheamus, the Bar, who of course remember never split up, 2 friends going to war. But wait, I hear you say, they're both heels, what about that? Well, the thing is, in my opinion, that without there being a crowd there, I don't think it really matters heel and face anymore, especially when you can just put 2 superstars like Sheamus and Cesaro who've been together, there's a story there, you just put them on and they have a technically sound match, which they are capable of, as shown by that brilliant Best of 7 series in 2016, which no one knew they wanted but loved. In the match, again, it's just a solid, superb 10, maybe 15 minutes, 10 minutes. And it ends with, and I know this is a dodgy spot because of his neck, but fuck it, it's a booking video. Cesaro hits an avalanche neutraliser on Sheamus, and then just as he pins him, Sheamus' leg falls onto a rope, a la Seth Rollins Neville in 2015. The referee counts 1, 2, 3, and then as Cesaro is celebrating, the ref realises his mistake and calls for a restart. Cesaro is confused, walks in, bang, bro kick. 1, 2, 3. Sheamus is finally a Grand Slam champion and has beaten Cesaro. Cesaro is visibly distraught at the end, but eventually they embrace as brothers to celebrate Sheamus' great achievement. Two friends with a mutual respect for each other, and now the Irishman is the IC champ, Grand Slam champ, and he can go on to have a good feud. On the following SmackDown, Sheamus will come out as the new IC champion, and he'll give a really good promo on how, due to his injuries, he never thought he'd get the chance to be a Grand Slam champion, and the fact that he's finally climbed this mountain is such an honour and pleasure for him. And he says that he couldn't have wished to have done it in a better match against his best friend, his partner, his brother Cesaro. He says in an ideal world that'd be his last match at WrestleMania, going to war against him, but he was glad that they could just share the ring, put on a good match, and he's now a Grand Slam champion. He says because he doesn't know how long he has left because of his neck issues, that he's just willing to put the belt on the line all the time, fight anyone and just kick arse, because that's what the Irish do. Out comes Baron Corbin's challenging for a match at Extreme Rules. Extreme Rules have a really stiff match, play up the fact that Corbin won the Golden Gloves as a youth, and that Sheamus is just, well, he's Irish, they know how to be stiff. And the match ends when Corbin does his little corner round run straight into a bro kick. 1, 2, 3. Sheamus retains. Moving on at SummerSlam, Jeff Hardy challenges Sheamus to a ladder match. So this feud WWE are building to, you do eventually get it just a few months down the line. And shocking everyone, Sheamus with a broken body just about retains the title. Now I know what everyone's thinking, Jeff's a popular character, WWE building up this whole redemption story, but the whole thing is, I don't trust, one, Jeff's broken body to last much longer so he has a clean run without being injured, or two, his inability to stay off certain things. So I think it is just a risk to put a strap on him, and instead I'd use him to just have fun matches with people like Braun Strowman, and just do his crazy spots, which clearly he just likes to do. Also at SummerSlam, Miz and Morrison prove the doubters wrong by toppling the New Day to become tag team champions, and the Miz announces a grand episode of Miz TV, Champions and all, where him and Morrison will talk about their new title reign, and also bring Sheamus on to talk about his title reign. Sheamus go through his usual stick on how he's a fighter and his injuries and how it means so much to be a Grand Slam champion, and Miz will say, well, it's not that much of an achievement because I've won the Intercontinental Title multiple times and I'm the best IC champ there'll ever be. This leads to a little bit of friction and eventually leads to a 2-on-1 beatdown from Miz and Morrison on Sheamus. Who comes out to make the save? Cesaro, of course, and him and Sheamus clean the ring as Miz and Morrison are at a ramp. Cesaro grabs the mic and says it's a bit rich, and Miz is saying that because Miz and Morrison couldn't strap the boots of a bar, and a tag team title match is set for the next week on SmackDown. In the tag match I put on a really fun match. Morrison and Cesaro work really well because of their athleticism, and Miz and Sheamus are also very similar. But the bar topple them to become tag team champions once again, because they don't just set the bar, they are the bar. Miz and Morrison say they want their rematch for the tag team titles at Clash of Champions, and now comes Sami Zayn after them, returning. At this point will be in September around then. Obviously I don't know when this coronavirus pandemic will end, but I think September could be a save point. I don't think there'll be crowds, but for story purposes Sami comes back and he gives a speech on how the company's corrupt. It's unfair that he got stripped of his title just for protecting his health, but he says what hurts him even more is that Cesaro turned his back and betrayed him to join up again with Sheamus after everything he did for him, granted which was just having beat up a lot. And Zayn says that he wants his IC title rematch with a title he never lost, also at Clash of Champions. So the build up to Clash of Champions is, can Sheamus' body cope with him having 2 matches in one night? On the show, the bar retain the title, again another fun match against Miz and Morrison, and it's a real battle, but Sheamus gets the pin, but he looks tired, he looks worn down, and out comes Heavy Machinery, because Otis is cashing in his Money in the Bank contract for the tag titles, because fuck it, it's better than having Lenny near the world title picture. Anyway, you give them about 5 to 10 minutes and Heavy Machinery get the win, pinning Sheamus, who is just physically knackered and broken down. Out comes Sami Zayn and he just eases past the Celtic Warrior to reclaim his IC title. So the next SmackDown, Zayn comes out with his new championship and boasts how he's the best Intercontinental champion ever because he's never lost a match while holding the strap. And Sheamus comes out rightly saying he was screwed being forced to wrestle 3 matches in one night, and that he wants Zayn one-on-one at the next pay-per-view, which will take place in October. WWE haven't named it yet, so at this point add in any name you want. It could just be a random generic word, WWE Supremacy, they could follow the Great Balls of Fire route and name after pop songs, so WWE 99 Red Balloons, or they could even call it the WWE COVID Showdown, because I think it's time they perhaps finally start addressing that elephant room, whatever floats your boat. Anyway, Zayn worried he's going to lose the belt straight back to the Celtic Warrior. He reaffirms his alliance with Shinsuke Nakamura, and they attack Sheamus as he's making his entrance, and they proper brutalise him. Put his neck in a chair, hit it off the post. Sheamus is stretchered off and is officially on the shelf for the rest of the year. Zayn comes out to boast how he's ended a career the most boring and most overrated superstar to ever step foot in WWE, and Cesaro comes out saying that he's going to topple Zayn to win the IC champion for his friend, and that he doesn't agree with it. However, he's forced to wait because Survivor Series takes place and we need the brand supremacy warfare. So Zayn will face the United States champion, who will probably still be Andrade, considering at this point he hasn't defended his belt for 66 days. Once again, WWE, good job for stripping Zayn for not defending. Anyway, that match can go either way. We'll give a win to Zayn just because he probably needs it a bit more. Well, Andrade also doesn't win much. But whatever result you want, it goes that way. And then we go on to the build to TLC, where Zayn says for Cesaro to get an Intercontinental Title match, he's got to earn it. So Cesaro has to face Shinsuke Nakamura and win, which he does. He then has to face Zayn and Nakamura in a handicap match and win, which he does. And finally, he beats Zayn in a non-title match to earn the right to compete for the title at TLC, and there he beats Zayn to become the Intercontinental Champion. Finally, the fans get what I want: Cesaro, the workhorse, someone who's so good in the ring, having the IC title, and this is where you start giving him the run he's been wronged of for so many years. He successfully defends the belt against Zayn in a rematch at the Royal Rumble, then has a real good showing in the Rumble, getting 3 to 4 eliminations and lasting half an hour. The next SmackDown after Royal Rumble, Sheamus returns and says that he's so pleased that his friend has got the Intercontinental title and that now he can finally have his dream WrestleMania match, and he wants a shot at the title at Mania. Cesaro surprisingly refuses, and when Sheamus asks why, you get the bitterness and resentment Cesaro has built up over years, that massive chip on the shoulder from being underused by WWE. He says how he's worked so hard for the last 7 years, honing his craft. He was told to tone it down by people backstage, he did. He was told to get over by people backstage, he did with Cesaro section, and all he was rewarded with was a henchman gig or a few tag team title reigns. So while he loved Sheamus, he didn't want him coming out and immediately being given a title shot. He had to earn it. Sheamus, angered by this, surprisingly bro kicks Cesaro in the face and then absolutely goes to town on him with his little Celtic cross move and the chair shots, and then he grabs the mic and says, how dare you claim I haven't earned anything after everything I've been through. I'm a Grand Slam champion. He lists all his accomplishments, you know, winning Royal Rumble, winning Money in the Bank, his neck injuries, and then finally goes, and also I had to carry your dead weight around for 2 years. He locks Cesaro in a cloverleaf and refuses to let go before officials finally break it up. Sheamus is officially heel. So when questioned on the shocking betrayal and what he's going to do, Cesaro says he will give Sheamus his WrestleMania match for the Intercontinental title, but only under one condition, and he points back to that promo Sheamus gave all those months ago saying that you said it was a dream match to WrestleMania in your last match. Well, that's what I want it to be. I'll only put the Intercontinental title on the line if you pull up your career. Sheamus agrees in Elimination Chamber. There's a contract signing to make it all official and nice, and the build to Mania, the story just tells itself. Two former friends, former partners who had such a mutual respect and love for each other the first time they fought. Now they don't. Cesaro, you know, is trying to end Sheamus' career. Sheamus trying to end the long overdue run with a championship Cesaro deserves, and at Mania you give them 10 minutes where they just put on a really solid match, you know, just like they usually do when they fight each other. Cesaro could demonstrate his athleticism, Sheamus could get in some real stiff shots, and the match ends with Cesaro tapping Sheamus out to the sharpshooter. And I really hope that there's a crowd back at this point so Sheamus can get the ovation his career deserves, because I feel he's one of the most underrated performers in WWE, and I feel he would get a real good ovation. He shakes Cesaro's hand, raises Cesaro's hand, and they hug. That mutual respect which started from a best of 7 series in 2016, which led to them becoming a tag team and splitting everything, coming back and showing that they're going to end on a friendship together. And I think that's a nice way to do it. It's usually with tag team splitting you just get like a blood feud, and while this one, obviously you'd have Sheamus turn heel, it's not really blood, it's more built on the respect for each other as performers, and I think that's a nice way to go. I'd then have Cesaro hold the belt for at least 4 more months and try and just add a bit of prestige back, which that title's really not had since Seth Rollins dropped it to Dean Ambrose in the back end of 2017. Was it 2018? I think it was 2018? Back end of 2018, we'll go with that. So obviously you can have Cesaro have fun matches with Dolph Ziggler, Shorty G, John Morrison, Jeff Hardy, Drew Gulak, Daniel Bryan, etc, etc. There's so many people he could just put in and let him get what he deserves, what the fans want. He'll be the workhorse with a workhorse title, and Sheamus can go in to an executive role, maybe even become a general manager if they want to bring those back. I think he would suit that role well. So what does this all achieve? Well, in the short term, it gives you a winner for this tournament for a vacant belt, so SmackDown has a champion. Secondly, it makes Sheamus a Grand Slam champion, which is something which has been talked about for years, but he hasn't actually looked close to doing. Like, I don't really remember last time he had an Intercontinental title shot. And then after that, you get like a Sheamus mini retirement tour. He gets a little face run with a belt where he can obviously beat Corbin, beat Hardy, show that, you know, despite his issues, he could still go. And then you take him out of it, and then you use that just to bring Cesaro in, and he gets the run with a belt which everyone wants him to have, which he deserves, and just put on classics. And then you just bring Sheamus back, and this is where you tie up his retirement tour. He gets a few last months in with that killer heel role which he thrives in, and you get a real good story at Mania between two former friends going for each other, Sheamus' career ending, but then the respect being there at the end. And that's how I'd book the Intercontinental Tournament coming up. From everyone here at the 0121, Dom Hynes, you're never going to win that prediction belt back again.